few steps, just a little jog, split stance, place it, and coming back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to utilize a foam roller to help work on deceleration. I think it's important to kind of really hammer home at deceleration because it is an important part of ACL rehab, which I feel like, to be honest, is kind of underemphasized, right? If you think about how the majority of people typically tear their ACL is the fact that they're usually coming to a stop, change directions, right? So the more that you hammer home at this deceleration, that eccentric control, the better their knee is going to be able to handle the rigors of playing sports again. And you think about a lot of the sports out there, there's so much stopping and going over and over and over again. So the more that you practice, the more you help them gain confidence and you make them basically comfortable and aware of the fact that, hey, I can handle this. And obviously making sure that they're strong enough is going to be one of the precursors before you start any type of deceleration exercise. This is going to be one that you can start just a little bit earlier because it's not super aggressive, and it's kind of, you can also instruct the patients to go just a little bit slower and kind of slowly build their confidence. And the reason why I like to use a foam roller, it is sort of an external cue to a certain extent of just teaching them to kind of how to decelerate and how to place their knee, putting their knee in a position to practice deceleration. So for this example, I'm going to be going kind of this way in order for you to demonstrate. So at least for me, we have the turf space and we're lucky enough to have this. So I usually will instruct them, maybe you start with something really, really short, like 3 yards, right? Just getting used to taking a few steps, get to the foam roller and then decelerate. Eventually you want to maybe get up to 5, and then I would say, at least for this exercise, because it is kind of a more basic exercise, you stick with maybe 10 yards at a max, right? And the reason why it's important to have these confines as far as distance goes is because basically if you're only telling them, oh, you're only going 3 yards, you're really not going to get that fast as far as speed goes, right? And the more speed requires more demand to stop. And that's how I usually will explain it to patients. So that's why we're starting at 3, maybe to 5, and then eventually going to 10. So for this one, using the foam roller, all I tell them is that you want to kind of gently place the foam roller down to the ground with your opposite hand. So for the sake of demonstration purposes, I'm going to be treating my right leg as my ACL leg. And you're basically jogging into kind of a split stance with your ACL leg in front, making that knee used to basically practicing decelerating, right? So if I'm here, taking a few steps, just a little jog, split stance, place it, and coming back, okay? Again, jog, okay? And you don't have to place it all the way down, but just them learning how to slowly put that down, because if they come in kind of reckless, I'm gonna exaggerate to a certain extent, they might go here, right? And kind of lose control of that foam roller, and that's not what you want. So them understanding that, hey, you need to slowly place down the foam roller is gonna help them understand the purpose of the exercise and learning how to decelerate with their front leg. So some of the bigger compensations, and I would say probably the biggest one that you'll see, is that patients will be hesitant to get into a positive shin angle, which is your knee coming forward. So if I'm demonstrating here, they might come in and do something more like this, right? Where their shin is just so vertical, right? And that's telling me that they are not that comfortable loading their actual quad. That's almost more of a glute dominant deceleration. Again, here, right? They're gonna sit their butt back a little bit. Maybe they're not even willing to go that deep, right? Maybe they stop here instead of actually sinking into that thing. So again, cueing wise, I'll tell them to kind of get their knees a little bit more forward. And you might need to utilize some of the other exercises that I've shown before, you know, just to backtrack a little bit. I've shown this one before where you are working into this single leg landing really lightly, gently tapping the foam roller, right? Or even working in potentially loading this position, right? Which is important. So split stance, gently tapping the foam roller. Things like that is how you basically put everything into a comprehensive understanding of, like, okay, they are struggling with this movement. What can I do to help them overcome it, right? Regress it a little bit, load it a little bit, come back and try it again. And I think that's how you help to build confidence. And that's what I really want you guys to understand, is that when you're seeing all these faults and looking at these videos and seeing like, hey, that looks a little bit off, or try to cue them out of it and they still don't get it, then you need to take a step backwards and think about how to actually address the issue. Sometimes cueing will work perfectly fine, and they'll you know, pick it up like, okay, yeah, I am strong enough, and my knee can handle that. It's just a matter of like getting used to that. However, some people, maybe you started just a little bit too early and they're like, oh, my knee doesn't feel great when I do that, or I just really lack the confidence to do that. Then you have to think about how to take a step back and build back up again, okay? So again, make sure that when you cue them, you want their knee to come forward to kind of get that positive shin angle loading here. Deceleration, quads doing that work, learning how to decelerate, okay? And again, you can start building with speed, slowly working that in order to help, again, continue to build more confidence and eventually getting into more like actual field space and really getting up speed and learning how to stick that foot in the ground, decelerate, backpedal, change directions, whatever it may be. So yeah, this is kind of an early deceleration exercise that I like to use, incorporating a foam roller. Kind of, it's nice because it's a nice way to kind of self-dictate that speed, tell them, hey, don't go too fast, or limit the amount of space that they're going. But yeah, I find it's a nice way to kind of slowly start to work in kind of a more sport-specific deceleration and then build up from there. So yeah, hopefully you guys found this video helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you for watching today's video. Please feel free to like and subscribe. I have started an ACL Mastermind group, which is a program designed for physical therapists, physios, strength coaches, students, and athletic trainers who want to learn more about ACL Rehab. It currently holds over 600 videos and has over 500 members with new videos added every single month. The videos cover immediate post-op to late stage sports-specific movements and everything in between. Content specifically also includes rehab complications, treatment philosophies, case studies where you can see my real-life patients, movement assessments, exercise breakdowns so you understand how to properly teach the exercises. The exercises are also arranged by difficulty level for strengthening exercises, plyometrics, balance, and neuromuscular control. Of course, it also covers late stage for movement exercises from structured all the way to randomized and chaotic to mimic more sports-related settings. And lastly, you also learn how to do return to sport testing, which is extremely important, and this what ultimately determines whether or not someone is safe or not safe to return to sports again. There's also questions within the group where you can learn how I engage with patients and their parents of how to answer difficult questions throughout the rehab process, which is inevitable to come up. And lastly, you gain access to a private forum where you can ask questions directly to me and others within the community. We share research articles, we share other equipment and beneficial equipment and things like that. Anything that can come up within the ACL Rehab spectrum, that's where you can ask within the private forum. And lastly, you can also download the app where you can gain access in your respective facilities directly on your phones. If you have any interest, please feel free to click the link below, and I appreciate you watching today's video.